Hello and welcome back to the Ultimate Life course. Now, this is one of my favorite topics. Education. Why? Basically because of what was on the thumbnail. On the thumbnail, there was Martin Luther King, I think, saying education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. And that was actually a picture I posted on an Instagram account I once had called Education, or that I still have, but I don't use it anymore, called Education Revolution Now. You can check it out. Just search for Education Revolution Now on Instagram. There I posted all kinds of pictures. And in this video, we're first gonna explore for a bit, because most of you know why already, and I have linked to videos that explain a little bit about why education is royally forked up in most of the world. And then I will explain to you my idea of a good solution or a good way of solving the problems in education, and how I would imagine it is A, possible, and B, possible and practical, and B, would be ideal to create such an educational system around the world that would solve most of the problems that current education shows us. So, what am I criticizing about the educational system? Well, first off, its lack of individuality, its lack of humanity and human connection, its failure to teach the most important life skills, which is how to work and how to work and do meaningful work, and how to find meaningful and live out and create meaningful relationships. Work and love, as Plato already said. And then there is this part of education that makes it so we are conditioned to think in a much more limited way, and to be trained in a way that isn't healthy or serving to any of us as individuals. Maybe to create a system, it could be. But even there, I would argue that it doesn't truly serve the best intentions of the whole state. I was once questioning myself, maybe it's good that people get programmed to think in a very don't want to say robotic way, but in a way where you respect and often get your self-value from the acceptance of authorities, and that you have to prove yourself to them in order to be allowed to get to the next level and not get thrown out of the system, and make that your greatest fear, of being thrown out of the system. And If you want to find out more about the problems of education, there's honestly a lot out there, a ton. And there's also already a lot of potential solutions. I love the ideas of the grassroots revolution. It's a book from Ken. Is it Ken Wilber, right? He did the TED talk on School Kills Creativity, which is one of the most watched TED talks ever made. I think he's called Sir Ken Robinson. Yes, I read his book, um, The Grassroots Revolution, and I'm not that good with names, but it was called the Grassroots Revolution, right? I'm just looking. Yes. It's actually it's called Creative Schools, and then underneath it, it's the grassroots revolution that's transforming education. That's the subtitle. And then there was this other book and this other amazing thing happening um, with the platform Khan Academy from Salman Khan. And he also wrote a book about the future of education. And I'm combining these two, and then also yeah, there's so many little inputs from so many sides, and so many different books. I'm just trying to point out the most influential ones, but also go into the playlist, and there I put like very famous very famous video called "I Suit the School System," where he points out a few obvious flaws of how it's set up, almost like a factory machine of producing children. And if you want, you can also go into the history of education, how it was created, um, with the intent of in mind to make people controllable. There are also these books of weapons of mass instructions and so on. And or I love learning, I hate schools. And Weapons of Mass Instruction is really good. It's by John Taylor Gatto. Also, the book from Khan Academy mentions John Taylor Gatto quite often. And that's how I got to find out about him. He was prized as one of the best educators, but at the same time hates schools. And yeah, I could keep on talking about these, but let's look at the solutions that are already out there, already great ideas. Finland does a lot good. Shorter school days, no homework, and much more importance on the education of the teacher, and much more built on relationships. And then there is this seemingly different side that isn't at all different, which is from Khan Academy, where they say, hey, right now in schools, people sit passively in front of the teacher, listening, taking notes, writing stuff down, and just doing, like, just listening to a teacher that may not even be perfect for them. What if you could transfer that passive education to home? And as homework, you normally got to do exercises and problems. You have to solve problems that helped you understand and go deeper and actually apply what you learned from the teacher. What if we brought that into schools, where then teachers can work one-on-one with you when you are actually, while you are applying the problem, and actually help you apply the problem and solve with your specific problems. But you already learned the information at home, maybe even from a teacher that fits to your personal learning type, because there are different learning types, there are different personality types, there are different teachers that are great for you and another teacher that is great for someone else. And that is called the flipped classroom model. There are also some good videos about the flipped classroom model. I actually posted one on my Instagram page. It's the last video that I posted, the flipped classroom model, and it's a little explainer video if you want to understand this one. And also, of course, you can watch the TED Talk from Salman Khan and see how he receives, or the teacher sees exactly where the kid's having a problem, what he watches, what's making him curious, and then can even do this and then go specifically if the kids are in school, they're doing exercises, the teacher can see exactly who is already ahead, who is behind, and then can put these kids together, and if someone already mastered the problem, they can teach their peer how to solve the problem as well. And that's peer-to-peer education, meaning the teacher isn't at all even educating anymore, but is rather facilitating the education. That I find really, really fascinating. And there we could also go into a mix to make it more individualized and more creative, while at the same time giving the teacher more freedom and giving the teacher more human-to-human connection. And then what I find, besides how is being taught and where is being taught, meaning the classroom being very sterile, there's a word which is the opposite of aesthetic. What is the word? Let's see if I can find it that I meant. No, I can't. No worries. It's very sterile. It's very often. It can be quite demoralizing, and taking the inspiration, the breathing life into, inspirare, it comes from Latin, breathing life into, it can take the inspiration away. Even though a clean classroom is very important. If you read the book What Great Teachers Do Differently, or Happy Teacher Habits. And in this video I will present the solution to where should be taught, how should be taught, what should be taught, because what we are teaching is really wrong, in my opinion. And also, how can this school always keep growing with the time that we are living in? Because a big problem that is happening right now is that, and what the new job of the not teacher anymore will be, of the education facilitator and the training or the trainer. will be like in the future. I started a sentence and I forgot my train of thought, I think. I could listen to it, but let's just keep going. That's the beauty of life. So you sometimes fork up a little and you just keep going like in a normal conversation. The problem is in a normal conversation someone can remind you of what you just said while you lost yourself in a thought. Well, to get back to it, really, what is the solution to all this? Imagine, and also who should be taught, by the way. Because why should only be kids taught? Education should be a lifelong journey. So imagine just being a person in this life. And you're a curious person. Yes, man. So you go into one of the life education and training centers. And when you go into there, you see all kinds of people working on different projects, and you can see kids presenting together with old people about the new invention they just created, and maybe there is a pipe running down this round beautiful building with amazing gardens outside, a big kitchen in there, and it almost looks like a freaking big community home. It has this kind of vibe to it, but at the same time, the moment you step into the building, all these different things that seem to sometimes contradict or stand in contrast of each other, all these different inspirations fire up your brain, because in those moments of big juxtaposition, it's often that we find flow. So the whole building is designed, and everything that is inside is designed to already trigger flow. And now you go in there and you are greeted by a few people, and then you can choose how you want to find your coach, because there are several coaches throughout the building, and you can decide which coach you want. And if you want, you can make a personality test, or you can also talk to a few coaches. And this is a very, very important decision. If you want, you can talk to every single coach in the building and then decide, who do you trust? Who do you feel like can help you get closer to the life that you love and that you want to help you design your education with? This person will help you design your education. Individualized. Now you find your coach. And why I do this is because I know that all true learning really happens because and in a context of relationships. That's why it's so important that this is physical, and it can't work without trust. trust to the person that is helping you facilitate your education. And if you're a little kid, you can find a method together maybe with your parents. You choose a coach to facilitate it with, and as an adult. And the coaches are trained to do 5 to 6 primary things. They are trained to, number 1, let's start there. Number 1, help you figure out who you are. Meaning, what are your natural strengths and weaknesses? Where you are in life. And number 2, and maybe that could be sorted to the first or the second one, they help you get clarity. Clarity, A, about what you want in the future and why you want it, as well as B, your principles that you gained from the past. So who you are is much more about your beliefs and your strengths and weaknesses and your personality. And then you go into, and maybe also, maybe one can discuss this, your level of general intelligence in all 8 intelligences. There is also a creative intelligence, a musical intelligence, and so on. Spatial intelligence, mathematical intelligence, and so on. So, now, they can help you figure out those 2 things. And based on that, they help you then choose what courses you want to do. But these courses are part of an ultimate life course, in which everyone can open source about different topics. And then those courses can be, of course, voted up or down, and now you have the opportunity to design your learning path with your assigned coach and trainer. Life coach and trainer, sort of. And why I chose that this person will design in the beginning your curriculum is that you don't have to send all your data while watching the Ultimate Life course to some kind of artificial intelligence system that will then intelligently predict what course you should keep watching and where you are, because there are all kinds of problems with that, and with that potentially taking away your ability to truly explore what you are interested in. The only person, or the only person in the world that should truly decide what to learn, or that you have to be able to be open about what you want to learn, is your coach and you. Because maybe you want to maybe you're a 14, 15-year-old and a man or a boy, and you want to learn how to talk to women, but you don't want anyone else to know. So not the system and the people behind it that you don't know, nor some other people in your friends group. So you don't have to show that you are signed up to that course. And now you have your education courses, online courses, yes, mapped out. And you have it mapped in a way that fits to your learning style, which is part of who you are. It fits to your personality type. The teachers are fit to you, and you already checked out a few videos and you like them. And of course that can always change and be adapted. And then there are some more reasons why I like the coach. It also gives you, he can also help you actually become a more rounded character, and not just and help you become more connected with who you are, because the next two things he is skilled for is teaching you how to build relationships and work better. Those are the next two skills that he has. And the fifth skill is the most, or another extremely important one, a big one, is facilitation. So now you go home and you watch these courses and you watch what fascinates you. And you can also, you can decide with your teachers all kinds of measures, so not different courses can become distracting to you. You can decide how many side courses and side pictures can be shown, or if you want to control your computer so you're not distracted by something else. With software working similarly to Cold Turkey, for instance, and so on. So you actually watch the course, you have fun, and then you come into the building, into the education centers. Of course, you can also watch the course there if you want to. But in the education center, it's all about actually applying what you learned. Because in school, we normally are used to learning all these facts, but they will become less and less important. We will go more and more to a time where it's all about just-in-time learning than just-in-case learning, what we are doing right now. We learn all these facts just in case we may need to use quadratic equations or whatever at some point. But right now, if we are able to use the internet correctly, we can learn just in time, which is a great point made by, that was another one that I love, and that I also integrated in there. It's called School in the Cloud. He had an amazing TED Talk and actually won $1 million to put this into practice and build several schools based on that. There's also a Khan Lab school as well, built on the principles in the book from Salman Khan, as well as There are these studies that I actually read, and the TED talk and I saw him live while I was being at an education convention. This guy that is really funny, School in the Clouds. You should really watch his TED talk as well. The schoolinthecloud.org. And I actually bought his Vimeo movie. Yeah. So, his basic principle is that just-in-time learning becomes more and more important, and he actually lets people work in groups and just gives a high-level question to the classroom, and then there are like 20 people have 4 computers, and they gather around the computers and can always switch computers and look at each other, and at the end they have to present an answer to the much too high question to answer for any one single individual. But to answer that question, like ask a kid that doesn't know anything about geometry yet, how do you measure the height of a mountain, or how do you measure out a mountain? And then they have to figure out how geometry works in order to answer that question. You see, that's basically his principle. And but still, it's not the skill of the teacher knowing about the subject, but that's the 5th skill, the mastery of facilitating, much more than just standing in front and teaching. The mastery of helping kids learn and knowing about all old mnemonic techniques, for instance, if you want to, and all different ways of helping them actually achieve the results and practice what they learned and solve problems together, and seeing, okay, this kid already solved this problem, and facilitating the peer-to-peer learning. You see? So now, and why I said facilitation 5 to 6 skills is because facilitation could be broken down into on the one hand facilitating like that groups come together, and on the other hand facilitating actual like solving problems with individuals. Yeah, I think you get my drift. So now you watched a course, or watched several courses, or you are in the middle of watching a course that is part of like this library of courses, potentially called the Ultimate Life Course. And you now can actually come there and practice and solve problems, maybe even real life problems. It's all there to help you create a life you love and become the person, and become a person you love and respect, or be a person that you love and respect even more than become, on the way there. And I'm just imagining the kids actually playing, or the kids and the adults being fascinated by different subjects together, and this 5-year-old kid talking with this 60-year-old man, and both discussing intensely about the impacts of artificial intelligence on cooking food, or of course there is a difference on how these different ages learn, but it depends. If they are in the same course online and they are doing the same thing, they understand the same things, maybe through a completely different lens, but still, because it was both created to fit them particularly. And some elders need to have classes like kids, and some kids need to have classes as if they were much older. And also, I believe we are coming from an information age where the most, like, first we were in a kind of physical industrial age where you had to actually work physically, and then we came into an information age, where first your body was most valued and the work you could do with your body, then your brain was most valued and what you actually and what you knew, your knowledge. And now, through the digital revolution, and even deeper when AI at some point comes, then when AI is there, and already what people that hire most value is, for one, right now, it's practice, meaning what you actually did, what work you actually done, which problems you solved, which projects you created. That's why it's focused on this. But later on, it will become also more and more the things that Daniel Pink mentions in his book, A Whole New Mind, which are the right brain related skills, big picture thinking, creativity, playfulness, and so on. And these will all be skills that will be naturally through the way that people work together on projects and will be facilitated. And we could go deep into each of those 5 skills I mentioned and do another video on these and many more. But through facilitation they will naturally learn these skills if we integrate all the solutions that we already have on new education. But the cool thing is, this is designed to continually improve over time. The problem with most alternative schools right now is that they were once created, like Waldorf schools, were created by a genius man and were designed in a great way and were an amazing revolution back then, but they became most of these alternative approaches became very stagnant because they were created by a visionary inventor that didn't design processes that would automatically always keep the education relevant to the current moment through time, it seems. So what I would do there, I believe we may, that's why I would want the Ultimate Life course or this platform be open source, so everyone can contribute and edit, and of course one can, if someone edits, like 100 or 500 people have to approve the edit before it actually goes public, so no troll edits come out. But But yeah, over time, this platform could potentially, of course, become an AI that helps teach kids in a way in the beginning. In the beginning, it would teach them in the best way that would be perfect for their brain, and then it could even develop further into, if we actually go ahead with what Elon Musk says, or what all kinds of people are working on. There are different projects, but Elon's is the best one, the Neuralink, where we can actually upload all skills and basically get a third layer of on our brain that is AI, and we merge with AI, and then we can instantly have any skill or any knowledge that we may want. And now it really becomes, how do we use this incredible superpower that we now all got, when this telekinesis skill. And there I think it's still important to have these centers of true human to human connection, for a while at least. Of course we don't know what will come after that. Then basically after the singularity, it's really hard to plan for that. But till that moment, I would say that this approach could work really well. And to fund it, one can start to build this platform where all courses are linked. And even if you do it for free, even if it's an open source project, there will be all kinds of paid courses in there, and most of the paid courses that will be linked in this platform, that is where everything is perfectly categorized in like a huge mind map sort of, or so like in workflowy, where you can zoom into different points underneath, so you never get overwhelmed in a huge project like this. And there could also be, of course, affiliate links in there. So if people buy through that platform a course that serves them, it would also then fund another part, or like it would all go towards building actually physical centers. And I think to build this online platform, we have to step into motivation 3.0 described in Drive, and the same motivation that built Wikipedia. We have to tap into our bigger desire to do good, and not in our second step desire of economic motivation, meaning we make the process of how can I get the most reward for the least amount possible. And the three motivators that Drive mentions is mastery, purpose, and Drive, Daniel Pink, summary. Because these three things we have to step into to build the online platform, because we could even make it so that people can either give donations or make it pay what you want model. If you want, you can give €1 or 10 or 50 a month, and these would start building the first centers. And I just had a thought come up. Maybe the coaches in those schools should all be paid, but just so that they can afford a good life. It's that's a problem we can definitely figure out together. I love solving problems like these. But yeah, so one way is to A, use affiliate links and affiliate marketing for different courses, B, by organizing them all and making it so you can actually find your best ones that will guide you to your next steps that are already there, plus giving the possibility to create your own courses on this platform really easily about all kinds of different subjects and getting inspired quite easily. Oh, this is where something is missing, this is where we need something, and like asking people to create courses for that, similar to Wikipedia is doing. And wait, I'm looking. Mastery. Mastery, purpose, and autonomy, of course. The desire to direct one's own life. Why did I forget that? Yeah, I think we have to tap into those motivations. Maybe also Brendan Burchard's motivations. And high performance habits. They are also great. Yeah, so Brendan Burchard's motivations he mentions in the book Charge, and the high performance habits in the book High Performance Habits, the 6 high performance habits. This is actually a part of how to work well, I think. And this, of course, is a skill where the people that are inside there have to have like this internal motivation and drive activated fully and be autonomous and strive towards mastery and strive towards being part of a bigger purpose. Everyone who coaches, who becomes a coach in there. And that way they will actually seek out always to continually improve themselves, and the whole company should be, or the whole system should be built on that principle. I don't know if it should be a company or if it should be some kind of, I feel like it should be a global non-profit project, sort of. Either non-profit or one of those L3Cs, like those low profit, the mix of company that mixes the best of the advertising capabilities of a company, while also the tax benefits of a non-profit, but at the same time its main focus must be to do good for the world, and otherwise it wouldn't get that status. Maybe something like this. That is quite new and so on. And a good place to start this project could actually be in Austria, because in Austria there is no law that makes people have to go to school. All there is only a law that demands from them that they get tested at the end of each year, that they learn the skills that the government says or that they should learn. So all that you have to do, if you want to, you could just go to those education centers and say, okay, I also have to learn everything so I can pass this test, but I also want to learn this and this and this, and I want to learn to pass this test in this specific way, and I want to pass it in a way where every memo technique of the old Greek people and all the newest neuroscience is combined in order for me to make it the most fun, pleasurable, and amazing experience of where I'm learning how to learn while also mastering the skills that I need to, or learning the skills and the information that I need to pass this yearly test. And a lot of homeschoolers do it like this. That's why it's so easy to homeschool in Austria. And no one knows it. Most people don't know it, that there is actually no law like that, where you have to go to school, interestingly. So yeah, those are my first basic thoughts. I could go much deeper into each and could prepare much better for this, to be honest. But if you got any questions or critiques and so on, let me know. There are certain solutions and ideas already out there how to fund something like this. Like the thing I mentioned, of course, then there is the possibility of creating education vouchers. Something similar is happening in Sweden, actually, where I'm right currently. And so where you in Sweden they don't really give out vouchers, but imagine you get a voucher that you can then use only for educational purposes, nothing else, and you can either go into one of those standard schools or a different school that you choose, and each student gets this kind of money that that the state would use anyway to teach a child. So why not give the child more personal freedom if a democratic public votes for that? You see? Democracy can play a major power in realizing that. And of course, funding of the crowd can work a ton, plus a lot of people being committed to this vision definitely will make it possible to reach such a state where this is true and this could work. If people, because in the beginning it doesn't have to, the space doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be some space, and there has to be people that want to become such coaches, maybe in the beginning even for free. I know if there would be something like this, I would totally do it for free. And I would go through every course that is there for me for free to do and master it and become an amazing epic coach. And I know that I would provide and create videos and create course material in order to create a better future for all children. You see? That's why this is, I believe, possible in the good combination of all alternative things, while also keeping the things that actually worked in school, like the physical building and working together and so on, and also preparing one for the actual future and helping kids create the future while working together and not just being conditioned to work in this one particular system that can't adapt to you, because the system can adapt to you and the people in the building, and then also focused on constantly and never ending improvement of everything, so it grows actually with the society and with the world that we are living in. Well, now explore, enjoy, share, and see you tomorrow. Booyah!